Okay, we're back here with our main data spreadsheet, and in this video we're going to go over some basics of using pivot tables in Excel. Pivot tables provide a tremendous amount of flexibility and allow you to sort and manipulate the data a little bit better than just using filters like we did in the last video. So I'm going to go back here and we're going to apply some and create a pivot table and do some quick analysis on our spreadsheet. If you didn't see the previous video, we are in the insurance business, and we're a sales manager having a look at our agents' insurance production, and we've got quite a extensive spreadsheet with 8,692 records. So trying to do some manipulation of this data by hand is probably a little too much, so we're going to apply a pivot table. First thing I'm going to do is just bold my header row, and that makes my data a little bit easier to work with, I think. And in order to create a pivot table, we're going to highlight the entire data set. I'm just use my Shift Control arrow keys to highlight the entire thing, and come over here to the Insert tab and insert a pivot table. Now we're going to get a few options. We can modify the table or range of data, and we can select to put it in a new worksheet or an existing worksheet. I always put it in a new worksheet. That's just easier for me. Now we're going to see our basic pivot table skeleton here, and basically what we need to do at this point is flesh the pivot table out. Now I've got a year's worth of insurance sales information in my base spreadsheet, and I want to start looking at some analysis of this information. And the first thing I want to look at is the total amount of premium that my salespeople have done in the fourth quarter of the year. So in this pivot table, I have the ability to put certain report filters that basically filter data for the entire report, and then I can select rows and columns depending on the way that I want to look at my information. So first thing I'm going to do is set some basic report filters, and I'm going to come down here and find the insurance carrier, and I want to set report filters on insurance carrier, the type of insurance, and then the subcategory that gets more specific about the type of insurance. So I'm going to start with carrier, and I'm going to take this field and I'm going to drag it down to the report filters box. So now you can see that that value is reflected up here in the header, and I can put as many of these report filters as I want. So now I'm going to take plan category and plan subcategory, and let's also go ahead and filter by closed and placed quarter. Okay, so I've got 4 different ways to filter the information in my pivot table. Now I know I want to start out by looking at agent, so I'm going to go select agent, and I'm going to pull that down to my row labels box. Now my rows list out all of the agents that have done business, and next I want to select the premium amount, and so I'm going to take the premium and I'm going to put it down here in the values column. Now what I have here is not a sum of the insurance premiums, but it's actually a count of the number of records that have a value in that field. And again, just by way of reminder, what that's essentially doing is it's coming over here and grabbing the data that's in this field and summarizing it in the values area of the pivot table. So if I want to change that to sum, I can just come down here on my values box, click on it, and select value field settings, and I got a lot of different options to choose from. So I can sum, I can do averages, minimums, and maximums. So I'm going to select sum, and that's going to change it to a dollar amount. Okay, now I want to show you some of the flexibility of pivot tables. So suppose that I want to get a broader view of my plan subcategories. I can actually take that field, I can either grab it up here or I can grab it down here, and I'm going to move that over into my column labels. And now you'll see that all of the values of the plan category are listed in the column area of my table with the values associated with the sum of base premium for each one of my agents. Okay, so now I can start to apply some filters, and As I mentioned, I want to look at all of my carriers, but I really am only interested in life insurance. We sell a variety of different products, and I want to filter out all of them. So I'm going to select multiple items here. I'm going to deselect all, and I'm going to choose only life. And now when I choose that, we're going to see some of the columns go away because they're associated with different plans. So now we only have our life insurance plan subcategories. And I also just am really interested for right now in the sales in the fourth quarter of the year. So I'm going to select multiple items again. I'm going to deselect everything but the fourth quarter, and I'm going to hit OK. So now what we have here is a sum of the sales of different lines of business within life insurance for the fourth quarter of the year. Now I can further filter my subcategories, and suppose I just want to look at a couple of the life insurance categories. We'll say term and universal life here. And so now I can look specifically at what the amounts are. And here's another really cool feature is I can do some filtering of my agents. So I may not want to see agents in alphabetical order, so I can do a couple things here, sort them Z to A and A to Z. But I can go into any one of my columns and I can right click and select sort and sort on the values in the column. So I'm going to sort largest to smallest of grand total premium, and that will then sort my agents by production order so I can see who's written the most business. I can do this for individual columns as well. So I can sort these largest to smallest, and if I wanted to go smallest to largest, I can do that as well. So now we see who's at the bottom of the list at the top of our report. Now I want to go back in and just sort my agents by alphabetical order and show you some of the power of, now that I'm looking at this data by agent, I can start to change the way I look at it. So suppose I don't want to look at the production by agent, but I want to look at the production by insurance company. So now I can simply take my agent, I can either drag that completely off, or I can maybe put it up at the report filter, and I can take my carrier, which is at the top of the report filter, and drag it down here to the row labels. So simply by dragging these fields around now, I can completely change the way I analyze this information and look at my report by carrier as opposed to by agent. Once again, I can filter out specific agents, so I may just have one agent that I want to look at, and turn all those off, select one agent, and now I can see how much business that agent has written with these particular carriers. Go ahead and select all my agents again and show you one more thing in this video that I think is very, very helpful. Let's suppose that that we want to look at our agents, and we have some particular questions about one agent's production. So I'm going to go back to our view by agent, and I'm particularly interested in seeing the specific information behind this field, term life, for this agent based on all the filters that I put in place. In order to do that, I can simply double click on this, and Excel will open up another tab and show me line items, each of the records associated with that particular summary piece of data. So what it's essentially doing is it's taking the term production for the fourth quarter for this particular agent, grabbing that data out of the overall spreadsheet, and opening me up a new spreadsheet so I can take a look at just that information. So here I've got all of that. So we've covered just some basics of using pivot tables and looking at data in different forms, been able to do some brief analysis, and hopefully this will give you some tracks to run on as you apply pivot tables and try to make use of those yourself.